The traditional stations of the cross end at Jesus' burial. Yet we know that in Christ, death is not the end, but there is victory through resurrection. Mark chapter 16, verses 1 through 6 say this. When the Sabbath was over, Mary Magdalene, Mary the mother of James, and Salome bought spices that they might go anoint Jesus' body. And very early on the first day of the week, just after sunrise, they were on their way to the tomb, and they asked each other, "Who will roll the stone away from the entrance of the tomb?" But when they looked up, they saw that the stone, which was very large, had been rolled away. And as they entered the tomb, they saw a young man dressed in a white robe sitting on the right side, and they were alarmed. "Don't be alarmed," he said. "You are looking for Jesus the Nazarene who was crucified. But he is risen. He is not here. See the place where they laid him." You see, the mission of Jesus was quite different than what most who knew him believed him to be about. So many that followed Jesus during his ministry abandoned him at the end once it was clear that he wasn't going to lead a revolution against Rome or usher in a new kingdom that they were wanting and that they were expecting. After Jesus' crucifixion, even those who were closest to him were fearful and dejected and mourning because their leader had been killed. The mission had failed. They thought that he was the one. And after Jesus' death, we see even some of the disciples returning to their previous careers as fishermen. We see women returning to the tomb to finish burial preparations. And they did so out of respect for the dead. No one expected Jesus to rise again. But the resurrection of Jesus points to the success of his mission. It's not a failure. Jesus did what he came to do. And the generation of Jesus' day desired a life of freedom and blessing and safety and comfort. And we're not much different than they are. But above all of those desires was God's desires to provide us with everlasting life, with forgiveness of sins, and for a forever relationship with him. You see, God poured out and ultimately extinguished his wrath against human sin by inflicting wrath upon himself. Divine wrath was diverted through divine self-sacrifice. The resurrection of Jesus means that the penalty for sin was paid in full. Jesus took it all. Now it's all over. A way has been made for us. Through Jesus' death and resurrection, we have access to God. Jesus turned hopelessness into hope and defeat into victory and death into life, and he did it for us. Think back to how God has transformed your life and write out what you have seen him do, and give thanks to God for each one of those moments. Now, ask God to continue to move you and transform your life, and commit to seeking him and his face each and every day.